All right, I'm so excited to share this. So I'm working on brainstorming the treehouse designs, and I've been running stuff through my head for a long time, and went on all kinds of different tangents. And I spent a lot of time messing around with graph paper and a pencil, and time in the 3D software program. But I feel like it's this is going to be way better if I can just put something out there and have you guys help me brainstorm this together and make this more of a collaborative effort. And that way, whether you have a background in any of this stuff or not, just you sharing your ideas and excitement about the possibility and potential of this and coming up with stuff together. If you have a background in any kind of treehouse design or building or fabrication or anything that, and you can offer your insights, that'd be super helpful as well. But either way, we're going to make this happen in some capacity. So hopefully we'll get some kind of little small prototype of this up over the next year or so as we hash out this concept. So I'm going to try and make this video short. I don't want to overdo it, but I want to show you the gist of what I'm thinking and get something out there for you guys to start contemplating and commenting and researching over as well. So what I've decided, I'd like to hone in on the one that I keep coming back to the most is these geometric shapes. I'm very drawn to like the geodesic dome, and then I wanted to complete it and make a geodesic sphere. And then there's also a structure that has been called a zome with a Z, and that's also very organic. Kind of reminds me of like a Christmas ornament shape, very pointed at the bottom and the top, and like a circular form. And that has just a very beautiful look to it, a feel for it. Almost looks like maybe the top of like a fairy tale castle. Those can be like modeled very short and like squat and wide, or tall and slender, and they just have a very magical feel to them. They kind of remind me of like an elven design or like fairy design or something. I think they would go really well in the woods and specific areas of the property. But I'm thinking maybe the sphere would be the easiest to start with. So that's kind of what I'm looking at now. So with that, we're looking at geometric shapes. This is some stuff that I've played with in the past. I just played with some metal conduit, smashed the ends, drilled it out, and then bolted it together to get the shape. This creates a insanely rigid shape once it's all bolted together. All those triangles, it just is super strong. And then to further strengthen the rigidity, I added a metal over it that was all tied together here, and that was just insane. How strong this was. And then we parged it just for fun. So this was a big experiment, just to see this metal kind of conduit geodesic sphere dome thing come together. And then I played a lot with bamboo, just because it's really easy to work with and fun. So I did some of that. What else? They helped a buddy with a dome on his property. Let's see this one here. But yeah, so I can go into further detail into all the products I've worked on, but I just want to give you a little look so you can brainstorm, get the gears turning. Cool. So on the hardware side for tree houses, what I found is that the top tier hardware out there is very similar. They kind of look mostly like this. There's a thicker area that's installed in the tree that helps like spread out the weight and whatnot. So I actually went out to Pete Nelson, the Treehouse Master Guy's property in Seattle. My brother, as a Christmas gift, gave me a tour of those tree houses in that property, and it was absolutely magic. What he's done out there is just so inspiring and beautiful. So I started digging into his stuff and found he has a Treehouse Hardware supply, Nelson Treehouse supply, and he has all the standard bolts, different sizes, and different types of hardware for very specific treehouse related support and whatnot. And the hardware's also been tested in university, so we kind of have like a baseline to start with of some kind of reliable, consistent hardware for accomplishing this stuff. So that's what I'm thinking. We should lean towards this. If you want to investigate the hardware, it's Nelson Treehouse Supply hardware. So there's Treefort hardware. They're all similar in their look and how they function, but they're just built stronger and bigger or whatnot. So there's tree fort, standard limb, and then heavy limb. So the standard limb is this one, standard limb treehouse attachment bolt. And yeah, so that part goes in the tree, and then this is the part you can attach to, and this is the end where you can attach a cable or a strut for extra support. And there's a couple extra little things, like here's the ability to support a load while the tree's moving. So there's a dynamic support, or so there's different stuff here. Yeah, so if you want to dig into the hardware and take a look around just to get an idea, that'd be amazing. So we're on the same page. Now for the structures, I have a background in 3D design, engineering, and drafting. I worked on a naval base for a while, did airplanes, ships, vehicles, did pretty extensive stuff in metal fabrication, a little bit of ornamental, architectural metal, really lots of complex 3D assemblies and in different scenarios. And I am obsessed with 3D modeling. It's been a while since I've been in here, but I love it. So I threw together a couple different shapes. With the geodesic spheres, what you're dealing with is there's this base structure. Let me show you. This is a sphere made out of all triangles exactly the same size, and each point touches the outside of the sphere, right? So that's a simple one. We could start with that. Maybe if we wanted to try and get something figured out at the basic level. That's what that looks like. And then if you divide each triangle further to try and smooth it out, you get what they call a V2, which is where each triangle that was there is now divided and split up to make it a little more round. So that's a V2. And then if you divide it further, you get V3. So you get more and more round, but of course you get more and more struts, and it becomes more expensive, and eventually it's very redundant. So finding that balance of like roundness and aesthetics and support and structure strong enough to build off of, and maybe the triangles being a specific size so it's easy to come up with paneling to cover it, or however we're going to do that. So thinking about all those things. But yeah, so that's the geodesic spheres. And then there's these structures called zomes. Let me show you this here. Where is that? Yeah, here we go. Zomes. So these are the zome structures. These are made with diamonds instead of triangles. And they're really cool because they're very, you can change their size and shape very interestingly. You can kind of stretch and make them skinnier and taller, or kind of squat out a little bit and come to points at the top. So you can play with them, and they're just really pretty. I mean, look at that. So somehow building those around a tree to be able to build off of, I think would be phenomenal and fun, very unique, very magical looking. So that's a zone. Let's see, I think I have some other stuff. We got this. Yeah. Okay. And then let me show you. Oh, this is one I was playing with, but it ended up being crazy because I was trying to figure out how they adjust based on their lengths and stuff, and it ended up being like 4 stories. They're very short floors, but this is just me playing around. So there's a potential idea of some sort. And so one other thing that you can do is look up, this site is where I play around when I'm just running rough numbers on the length of the struts to try and figure out sizes of this stuff. You can plug in the length you want to use. So for instance, if you're using 10-foot conduit and you want your strut lengths to be like 5 foot, so you can be efficient. So you have like 2 5-foot pieces out of one 10-foot conduit you end up buying. You can plug in that and say, hey, this is strut A is going to be 5 feet. And then it gives you, okay, your radius of your sphere will be 8. And then gives you the lengths of A and B. And that's the triangle that makes it up and all that. So you can dig into this further and try to understand that as well if you're curious. So these are the kind of base things. Using a calculator like this, desert domes to try and figure out kind of lengths for the sphere. Checking out the hardware, investigating the different types of hardware, how we can get this attached. Um, Playing around on Pinterest is always fun, looking at geodesic stuff and Zome stuff. If you want to do that, we explored a little bit of using the conduit. I think this might be a really good one to build our first kind of tree fort one, like really simple. Maybe that's just covered with like canvas and you can like camp out in it or something, like, or there's just a platform on it as like a lookout kind of spot on the property where you can have a good view. Something simple, just simple conduit, I think would probably be more than sufficient, but we'll continue to investigate and play around. And then some 3D modeling is always fun. So if you guys have ideas, I can throw together models and we can explore those further based on your guys' comments and ideas. So I think that's good. I think that covers everything. Yeah, let's have some fun. Throw me some ideas and let's brainstorm it. Let's build something. I'm stoked. I'm going to end up building something at some point. So I'd love any insight and ideas you guys have. Let's go back to the sphere. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I think the big thing is like right now is just figuring out how to attach this. All the geodesic spheres have this pentagon at the top, and so that gives us 5 different points directly running into the tree. And for like a smaller little tree fort that's like 16-foot diameter or whatnot hanging in there, I don't know that we want 5 treehouse bolts in the tree at the top and the bottom of this thing. So there's got to be a better way. So if you guys have thoughts on this, I'd be curious to know. And I'll continue to poke around and brainstorm. Maybe I'll get some of the actual hardware modeled and put in here so you can kind of see what it actually looks like, how far it goes into the tree and sticks out, and where we can attach. So I'll play with that. But yeah, throw some comments in the comment section. Let's play with this. Let's build something. Build something fun. I'm trying to get in the trees. All right. I'll see y'all. Bye.